gave excessive importance to the serving of self-interest. Positivism is another concept of conventional economics. Positivism also could have been defined in several different ways, but conventional economics took only one of these, and that is abstinence from all normative statements, no value judgments. So positivism stands here for no value judgments. You make a positive statement without using any value judgment. And so that you are concerned only with what is and not what ought to be. What ought to be requires value judgments, but what is right in front of you doesn't require any value judgments. That's why generally in science they only try to describe or analyze what is and not say much about what ought to be, because this requires value judgments and this is beyond the scope of science. And the third one was laissez-faire. It no longer is there. After the Great Depression, the governments have started taking a great deal of interest in the economy. They have started intervening at different times in the economy of their countries, and so it is no longer there except for some economists, like the late Milton Friedman. Liberalism also in the Western science stands for generally laissez-faire. Leaving people alone to serve their self-interest. Because conventional economics is not a homogeneous field of science. There are differences of opinion among economists, and that's why conventional economics has only theoretically tracked the above course, but not practically. So these three major concepts of conventional economics are there only theoretically, but many economists disagree with these. Some of these, over the ages, Carlyle, Ruskin, Hobson, Tawney, Schumacher, Myrdal, Boulding. There is a book published recently by Hausman and Macpherson, Economics and Contemporary Moral Philosophy. So while this is theoretically there, all economists do not necessarily agree with these, and there have been a great deal has been written. But generally, economics has trekked this path of rational economic man, positivism, and laissez-faire. No, laissez-faire is of course now generally abandoned, although some, as I said, economists still stand for this. The late Milton Friedman and a number of people who stand for liberalism. Now, what are the major concepts of Islamic economics? One of the first things that is done is to do away with this particular definition of rationality. Not rational economic man. This is not the major concept of Islamic economics. Islamic economics, I would say, there is a Quranic ayah, in tansurullah yansurkum. If you help God, God will help you. So yansurkum is A and in tansurullah is B. If you help God, God will help you. Now, it may seem very, very odd. How can a human being help God? God doesn't need our help. He is the creator of this universe and He has everything under His control. So how can we say that if we help God, God will help? We can't help God. But the way to help God, He has Himself said, there is a hadith that on the day of judgment, God will say, tell a human being, I was hungry and you did not feed me. The human being will said, Oh God, how could you have been hungry? You have everything under your control. Now he will say, no, such and such a human being was hungry and you did not feed him. So in Tansurullah, if you help God, we help God by helping other people, other human beings, and also the animals, birds, insects, and the environment. In other words, if we try to keep the environment clean, we are essentially helping God. If we try to help animals or feed them, we are also helping God. And if we try to help human beings, of course, we are naturally helping God. So, in Tansurullah yansurkum. So, this rational economic man in this case, rationality in this case, does not get confined to the serving of self-interest. It goes beyond this and incorporates the helping of all human beings and creatures as well as the environment. So if you help God, God will help you. So this goes beyond serving of self-interest and takes into account social interest as well. Another concept of Islamic economics, وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ حَمَلَ ظُلْمًا. Whoever commits injustice faces ruin. Now this violates another concept of conventional economics, positivism, from abstinence from all normative statements. Because when you talk of justice and injustice, you make a normative statement. What is just? What is just and what is unjust? So this goes against the concept of positivism in conventional economics, and this is a requirement in Islamic economics. Justice has to be ensured, and according to the Quran, وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ حَمَلَ ظُلْمًا. He is destroyed who commits injustice. So justice has to be an essential part of Islamic economics, and ensuring justice has to be there. The third concept of Islamic economics also comes from the Quran. وَمَنْ عَرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. Whoever turns away from my values or my teachings, this is A, فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. For him there is a there is a difficult life. So A is whoever turns away from my message, from my teachings, from my values. B is will have a difficult life. These are some of the important concepts of Islamic economics. This is just, you can of course maybe think of some other major concepts of Islamic economics, or remove one or two of these and put others in their place. One thing that also is there in Islamic economics is the role of the state. There is a hadith, some people call it hadith, but probably it is not. Inna Allah la yaza'u bi sultani akthara mimma yaza'u bil Quran. God restrains through the ruler, through the sultan, more than what he restrains through the Quran. The Quran can only give values. You should not lie, you should not commit fraud, you should not hurt other people, but it cannot implement these. The implementation of Quranic teachings has to come from the society and the state. The ruler has to play a very important role in this, because if you have values, some people will act upon them, some will not. But if those who do not act upon these values, they commit fraud, they tell lies, they cheat other people, then if they don't get punished, this evil can spread in society until it becomes very widely accepted. So it has to be nipped in the bud. Any wrongdoing in society has to be corrected as soon as possible. And this is the role of the society as well as the state. And if the state does not play an important role here, the vice will spread like wildfire. So this is what Ibn Khaldun called wazi'. The word he uses for the ruler or the government is wazi'. And but this is not socialism. It is also away from laissez-faire. In other words, Islamic economics something in between, neither laissez-faire nor socialism. The state has an important role, but not by controlling all modes of production or placing an excessive role in the economy. It has to ensure that values get enforced and injustice gets removed, and that people act in accordance with the values given by Islam, and to punish those who try to violate these. Otherwise, the state doesn't have a role in terms of production, except when it is considered to be absolutely necessary. Then we cannot be too rigid here. So, Inna Allah lazayu bis sultani akthara mimma yazaw bil Quran. God restrains through the sultan more than what he restrains through the Quran. And the role of institutions other than the market in economics. Conventional economics generally talks primarily about the market, and now about the government. But family and society have no discussion in conventional economics. Family is extremely important because it is the source of the input of the market, source of the main input of the market, the human being. It is input also of the society and the government. how can you not talk about the family or the human being? So family is a very important part of the human society, and it has to play a very crucial role in the betterment of human conditions. If the family deteriorates or gets disintegrated, then that society will ultimately decline.